The movie opens in Carmitage. A mysterious man named Caecilius beheads the librarian protecting the magic spells. Caecilius steals a spell from one of the books. The Ancient One steps in to stop him. She tells him that spell will only bring him sorrow. She chases him and his army through the streets and sends them into the mirror dimension. The Ancient One is too powerful and Caecilius escapes. We are introduced to Dr. Stephen Strange. Stephen is one of the best surgeons in the world. He is arrogant and cocky, but he can back it up with his talent. Dr. Christine Palmer, Strange's girlfriend and a fellow doctor, is introduced. She notices something wrong with a medical scan in a patient. Together, they are able to save the patient's life when another doctor already announced them dead. Dr. Strange, of course, lets it get to his head. That night, he is headed to a fancy dinner when he gets a call from his hospital. He is notified of multiple available surgeries. He arrogantly chooses which one is worth his time, as he says. But as he is distracted by which surgery he wants to be glorified for, his car loses control and he crashes. When Stephen wakes from his surgery, he immediately notices his hands are destroyed. He is frustrated with the way the doctors repaired his hands. He claims he could have done better himself. Stephen spends the next period of his life searching for procedures that would allow him a full recovery. We see him struggle through his physical therapy as he gets more and more frustrated by his situation. Stephen Strange's life as a doctor was dependent on the use of his hands. Everything he knows is being a good surgeon. Without his hands, he feels lost. He spends all his time and money on searching for a fix. Christine has had enough. She tells Stephen she can no longer sit by and watch him destroy himself. She leaves him. At this point, Strange becomes even more desperate. His physical therapist tells him about a man who made a miraculous recovery. Strange goes to meet with this man, Jonathan Pangborn. He tells him about Carmitage. Strange makes his journey to Nepal to search for it. While searching, Strange is attacked. Mordo shows up to save him, and he invites him in to Carmitage. The Ancient One greets Strange, and he starts asking endless questions about how she was able to heal Jonathan. He is not convinced when she tells him the truth, so she shows him by sending his mind on a trip through multiple dimensions. Strange is fascinated by what he saw. He begs the Ancient One to teach him their ways, but she denies him at first. She says she fears losing another gifted student to the darkness. Mordo helps convince her to train him. Strange is let in, and he begins his training. He goes to the library to get more books, where he meets Wong for the first time. Wong tells him about the Book of Cagliostro, one of the books with forbidden spells. He tells him about Caecilius, a former master who stole the pages from the book, as we saw in the beginning. Wong warns Strange the spells are dangerous and are not to be used. Just then, we go to Caecilius performing the spell that he has stolen. It gives him and his zealots increased power by harnessing energy from the dark dimension. Back in Carmitage, Stephen continues his training. He struggles with the physical of creating spells. He feels his damaged hands are holding him back. But the Ancient One helps him along, and Stephen begins creating his first spells. We go forward in time, and Stephen has become fairly advanced in his magic using. He continues to learn more advanced spells, like creating the Mirror Dimension, a place that imitates the real world but doesn't affect it. Eventually, Stephen's thirst for more knowledge grows. He takes the Book of Cagliostro and the Eye of Agamotto and begins practicing time spells, the ones that are forbidden. Mordo and Wong show up and confront him, telling him it's extremely dangerous and can cause issues with the timeline. But Stephen questions them. He feels like they are keeping things from him. Wong explains the purpose of the sorcerers. He explains that they protect the Earth from other dimensional beings. Beings like Dormammu, who lives in the dark dimension and hungers for our universe. Strange is disturbed to find out about this. He says he came here to heal his hands, not fight in some mystical war. But just as they are arguing, the London Sanctum is attacked by Caecilius. The explosion sends Strange through a portal that brings him to the New York Sanctum. Caecilius shows up there and attacks that as well. Strange tries his best to fight him. Doctor Strange is able to hold his own in the fight. He is helped by the Cloak of Levitation, which clearly has a mind of its own. Strange entraps Caecilius in an ancient device. Caecilius tells Strange the Ancient One is also using power from the Dark Dimension. While caught off guard, he is attacked. Strange makes his way to Christine's hospital and has her save his life. He shows her some of the things he has learned along the way, and she is freaked out by it. Christine is able to save Stephen. He apologizes for the way he behaved in the past. Stephen is clearly changing as a man. He goes back to New York to check on Caecilius, but he is gone by now. Strange confronts the Ancient One and calls her out for using power from the Dark Dimension. He continues to tell them he wants no part of this. Caecilius shows back up and attacks the Sanctum once again. Strange sends them into the Mirror Dimension, which protects the real world. But little does he know, the Mirror Dimension makes Caecilius more powerful. Strange and Mordo run for their life. The Ancient One shows up to fight Caecilius. With his power, he is able to defeat her. Strange rushes her to the hospital. While she is on the table, they have a discussion in the astral plane. She tells Strange this is where it ends. Every future she's ever looked at ends right here in this moment. She motivates Stephen to become a better man and to fight for all and not just for himself. Strange begins to understand why she used power from the Dark Dimension. Doctor Strange and Mordo go to Hong Kong to protect the last of the three sanctums. But when they get there, it is already destroyed, and Dormammu is consuming the world. Doctor Strange casts a time reversal spell. Time begins to reverse, but Caecilius is able to stop it. The sorcerers are outmatched by Dormammu's power. Doctor Strange decides to confront Dormammu directly. He tells Dormammu he has come to bargain, but Dormammu kills him on the spot. Strange activated a time spell and he reappears in front of Dormammu. Dormammu is confused because in his dimension there is no time, so he does not understand what is happening. He kills Strange over and over and over countless times. Doctor Strange tells him he will spend eternity doing this until Dormammu makes a bargain with him. Dormammu eventually becomes so agitated that he agrees to bargain. He leaves Earth in this dimension. His zealot, Caecilius, is taken with him. Wong and Strange are satisfied that it is all over, but Mordo is bothered by how they did it. He says they broke the natural law in order to stop Dormammu. He renounces his following and walks off in disgust. In the end, Wong mentions the Ancient One's death will spread word and they must be ready for attacks. They each head to a sanctum to protect it. Doctor Strange looks out of the New York Sanctum as the new protector. The end.